Africa unite. Unite. Africa unite. Africa unite. Africa unite. Unite. Africa unite. Africa unite.
The artistic group
Africa
for the
unite.
amazing energy and for their dynamic
Africa
performance.
unite. Africa unite.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to officially welcome you to this summit, I now have the honor of inviting Her Excellency Dr. Fitsum Asafa, Minister of Planning and Development of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, to deliver the welcoming address.
Your Excellency, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Excellencies, Heads of States and Governments, Honorable Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Commissioners of the African Union, esteemed Ministers and Ambassadors, distinguished invited guests and participants from all over the world attending this important gathering. All protocols observed. Welcome to Addis Ababa and to the second Africa Climate Summit convened under the theme Accelerating Global Climate Solutions, Financing for Africa's Resilient and Green Development. Ethiopia is honored to host you in the capital of our continent, Addis Ababa. Over the coming 3 days, we will deliberate not merely on issues of climate change, but also on how we can shape an African decade of delivery. The second African Climate Summit focuses on showcasing African climate solutions, mobilizing finance at scale, and transforming our natural endowments, human capital, and innovation ecosystems into shared prosperity. Allow me to share the preparations we undertook to host the second African Climate Summit, as the process itself reflects our true intentions. Following the decisions by the African Union Assembly to have the Climate Summit here in Addis Ababa, we immediately mobilized experts across the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, working together with the African Union Commission and partner organizations across our region and the world. Together, we defined the planning framework and established national coordination mechanisms fit for a summit of this type. Clear governance, roles, and decision lines were set. We have convened multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder consultations, bringing together policymakers, youth, and community leaders to create the concept note and shape the detailed agenda you will see this week. Over the next 3 days, the program moves from ideas to action. Day 1 focuses on nature-based solutions, technology and innovation, clean energy, and resilient infrastructure. Day 2 deepens cooperation on climate adaptation and resilience, including early warning and health. Day 3 shifts decisively to financing African-led solutions, transforming climate finance from episodic aid into strategic investments that bring projects to financial close. Across all tracks, we will advance the Addis Ababa Leaders Declaration and focused call to action that speaks with one African voice to the upcoming global platforms. Excellencies, participants of the Second African Climate Summit 2, you are in a city transforming fast with green corridors, clean transport, vibrant public spaces, and lively culture at every corner. As part of the summit program, we have included a city tour to remarkable attractions like the Ntoto Hills and the National Palace, a tour of the Unity Park where history, biodiversity, and public art converge, a visit to the Adwa Museum, a window into the story and spirit of our capital. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me once again to warmly welcome each of you. May our deliberations over the coming days be marked by wisdom, partnership, and courage. Addis Ababa welcomes you with an open arms, and I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring summit. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the warm and visionary welcome. To deliver the inaugural keynote address, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellence, Monsieur Abiy Ahmed Ali, Premier ministre de la République fédérale et démocratique d'Éthiopie. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement. Excellences, Monsieur le représentant du secrétaire général des Nations Unies. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, distingués participants. La question du climat est devenue un enjeu planétaire, car le changement climatique affecte sans distinction toutes les communautés rurales, insulaires et urbaines à travers le monde. En effet, certaines régions subissent davantage les perturbations de leur écosystème tel que notre continent. La biodiversité en Afrique est ébranlée et glisse inexorablement vers l'extinction des espèces si la tendance n'est pas renversée d'urgence. Aujourd'hui, le lien entre le climat et le sous-développement ne fait plus aucun doute. Le climat, l'exode rural, la migration et l'instabilité sous toutes ses formes sont interreliés. C'est pourquoi le deuxième sommet africain sur le climat, après celui de Nairobi en 2023, nous offre l'opportunité de repositionner l'Afrique dans les négociations internationales. Il s'agit d'un impératif majeur. Les chiffres parlent d'eux-mêmes. L'Afrique ne contribue qu'à hauteur de 4% des émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Ça fait plus de 150 ans que les nations industrialisées polluent la planète. Le chiffre de 1 trillion, 300 millions de dollars est le montant nécessaire par an pour financer les plans d'adaptation au changement climatique sur le continent. Ce qui est proposé à l'Afrique, ce sont 300 milliards de dollars pour financer des plans de mitigation sous forme d'investissement portés par le secteur privé. C'est loin d'être suffisant. Dois-je le rappeler, les priorités du continent sont énoncées dans le plan décennal pour le développement d'une agriculture intelligente, avec un investissement nécessaire de 100 milliards de dollars par an sur 10 ans. Le financement de la biodiversité en réclame tout autant par an. En matière de transition énergétique, l'initiative Mission 300 millions, l'Afrique s'est engagée fermement à donner accès à l'électricité à 300 millions d'habitants sur la base des énergies vertes. Par ailleurs, une gestion intelligente des ressources hydriques s'impose comme un impératif en développant l'irrigation, les cultures sous serre, le goutte-à-goutte et l'hydroponie. La préservation des écosystèmes côtiers et marins à travers l'économie bleue, qui est une initiative phare de l'Union africaine, fait partie de nos priorités continentales. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, de Cancun en passant par Monterrey, Paris, Abu Dhabi, Bakou et bientôt Belém au Brésil, les voix de l'Afrique ne cessent de s'élever en faveur d'une justice climatique. Les aspirations de nos peuples et de nos pays pour un financement conséquent et substantiel doivent être prises en compte avec sérieux et détermination. Et cela devra se réaliser à travers un véritable fonds pour les pertes et les dommages, pourvu que les ressources financières suffisantes y soient déposées. Le crédit carbone doit être géré, non pas par les États pollueurs en fonction de leur bon vouloir, mais plutôt par une instance internationale indépendante, avec des prérogatives supranationales. Le Fonds vert devra aussi faire peau neuve et s'orienter vers le financement de projets à valeur ajoutée climatique, régionale et continentale. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the African Union firmly believes that climate finance must be fair, significant, and predictable. Let us seize this defining moment to reaffirm our continent's unequivocal position regarding our global obligations, but still differentiated responsibilities. The vulnerability of our member countries caused by climate change, debt burden, and the structural inequalities of the international financial architecture must be redressed through climate justice. We need a genuine cooperation for the implementation of our continent's adaptation plan by providing financial resources, technology, and expertise. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish our second African Summit on Climate successful deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your guidance and commitment. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct honor to invite His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, to deliver the inaugural key address and official opening of the summit.
Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished ministers, ambassadors, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ethiopia, a land of natural wonders where human history began. From rain-holding highlands to vast savannas, where human history originated, and arid plains, our landscapes are breathtaking. They are the foundation of our existence. Our communities have long known that caring for the land is caring for the life. As we open the Second African Climate Summit here in Addis Ababa, I extend my deepest gratitude to President William Ruto and the government of Kenya. Their leadership at the inaugural summit in Nairobi was the catalyst for a common African voice on climate. Today, we build on that momentum. Excellencies, too often, Africa's story at climate summits begins with what we lack. Lack of finance, lack of technology, lack of time. Let us begin instead with what we have. The youngest population in the world, bursting with creativity and innovation. The fastest growing solar belt on Earth. The planet's last carbon vaults in our forests, wetlands, and coasts. Vast arable land that can feed a growing continent and beyond. Rich deposits of critical minerals for green technologies. Renewable energy from sun, wind, water, and geothermal. And a tradition of resilience and innovation built over millennia. Excellencies, we're not here to negotiate our survival. We're here to design the world's next climate economy. If we make the right choices now, Africa can be the first continent to industrialize without destroying its ecosystems. An economy an economy who will build, power, and lead. In Ethiopia, we have seen what is possible when determination is driven by clear purpose. This takes shape through deliberate, data-driven actions that respond to our challenges and opportunities. Guided by purpose, we are implementing initiatives that shows the power of vision and community efforts. In 2019, we launched the Green Legacy Initiative. 7 years on, we have planted over 48 billion seedlings. They cool our land, protect our soil, restore watersheds, provide food, create jobs, and grow exports. Through a nutrition program called Yelema Turufat, or Bounty of the Basket, and our Climate Resilient Wheat Initiative, we are reshaping food systems, reducing imports, and growing rural incomes with climate-smart irrigation and sustainable practices. These are African solutions to global food and climate challenges. Soon, we will inaugurate the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a continental symbol of self-reliance, unity, and clean energy. It will provide over 5,000 megawatts of renewable power, lightening the way to fair energy for Ethiopia and East Africa. We are advancing our national clean cooking roadmap. It will free millions of households from smoke-filled kitchens and ease the daily burdens, especially for women. In our cities, the Green, Inclusive, and Smart City Initiative is building a space that breathes with walkways, bicycle lanes, electric mobility, green and safe public spaces. And we are phasing out fossil fuel transport, reducing emissions while creating more healthy cities. Excellencies, our journey offers an example that the potential across Africa when we unite vision and effort. Today, as we prepare for COP30, Africa must stand not as a bloc of negotiators, but as a continent of solutions, fulfilling the vision of Agenda 2063 for a prosperous, resilient, and innovative future. We must make Africa the place where the world sees climate goals achieved, where reforestation is not a pilot project, but a culture, where climate-smart agriculture feeds millions, and where green corridors connect cities and rural areas in a shared economy of life. To achieve this, our partnership must evolve. We ask our global partners not to fund us because we are impacted, but to invest with us because we are visionary. To turn vision into reality, I propose the launch of an African Climate Innovation Compact, a bold, continental-wide partnership uniting our universities, research institutions, startups, rural communities, and innovators. By 2030, the compact should aim to deliver 1,000 African solutions to tackle climate challenges in energy, agriculture, water, transport, and resilience. Africa will not only meet its needs, but boost exports, powering growth beyond our borders, and advancing Pan-African prosperity. This compact will be funded and owned by Africans in partnership with the world, but never beholden to it. We will also claim climate data sovereignty, mapping our own forests, measuring our own carbon, and pricing our own ecosystems. Climate data is not just science, it is the new currency of power. It is time to replace climate aid with climate investment. The returns will be measured in avoided emissions, millions of jobs, enhanced food security, stabilized regions, and a more resilient global climate. Africa did not cause this crisis, yet Africa can lead in solving it. We have the solutions to restore degraded land, to capture carbon, to produce green and clean power. We know what needs to be done. Now is the time to scale what works. Now is the time to accelerate our collective action. This is not charity. It is the most strategic investment humanity can make. When Africa's land heals, when our rivers run clean, and our air is fresh, Africa wins, and the whole world breathes easier. We are the first African generation with the means to heal what was broken, and the last with the time to do it. That's why Ethiopia is proud to present its candidacy to host COP32 in 2027. We invite the world to Africa's capital of diplomacy and climate ambition to witness our solutions and to help shape the future. Let us show the world that the continent of origins will also be the continent of solutions. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your leadership and officially opening this important summit. We now invite you to turn your attention to the screen for a short opening video presentation.
From Addis Ababa, the beating heart of Pan-Africanism, Africa's voice rises, united, determined, and unshaken. Here, history and hope walk side by side. Here, the spirit of our ancestors meets the dreams of our children. Ethiopia stands as a continental gateway, a land where ancient roots run deep, yet branches stretch boldly toward the skies of tomorrow. From the cradle of humanity to the cradle of modern African unity, Addis Ababa has always been a meeting place. And in this home, Africa gathers to chart its renewable futures. Futures powered not just by energy and innovation, but by the will of a people who refuse to be divided, who see possibility where others see challenge, who rise again and again to claim their place in the world. Here in Ethiopia, climate action is a commitment we live out through initiatives like the Green Legacy. From the highlands to the lowlands, communities are planting trees, restoring landscapes, and nurturing a greener future. Ethiopia is leading the way, balancing growth and responsibility, showing how targeted action can make a real difference through strategic planning and local engagement, demonstrating that climate solutions are achievable practical and rooted in its unique landscapes and traditions. This vision is not confined to policy papers or negotiation halls. It is alive in the hands of farmers who adopt sustainable practices. It is alive in the engineers building renewable energy projects that light homes and power industries. It is alive in the youth, innovators, and entrepreneurs who see climate action as opportunity. From global negotiations to local hands in the soil, Ethiopia demonstrates that the future of climate leadership is not about words spoken far away, but about actions rooted at home. And from here, those actions ripple outward, inspiring Africa and the world. Here, every effort echoes the belief that Africa's strength lies in resilience, and that a green economy is already taking shape. And as the world gathers, Ethiopia's example stands as an invitation to rise together, to turn vision into practice. Africa does not plead for rescue. Africa rises with solutions, grown from our soils, shaped by our people and strengthened by our unity. Ethiopia stands at the center of this rise, a gateway where Pan-African voices converge, a bridge between heritage and hope, a nation proving that homegrown solutions can echo far beyond our borders. Africa has the vision, a vision that is clear, ambitious, and rooted in the realities of its people. From innovative renewable energy projects to resilient cities, from thriving youth entrepreneurs to women leading change, Africa is ready to act. Africa has the vision. What it seeks is fair access. Finance must match ambition. Investment must be purposeful, directed, and equitable. Resources should empower, not delay. They should unlock potential, not impose limits. From the highlands of Ethiopia, where ancient wisdom meets the pulse of innovation, to the vibrant shores of every African nation, a message echoes louder than ever. The future is African. It rises in the voices of our youth, in the resilience of our communities, and in the bold steps we take toward climate justice and sustainable growth. This summit is a gathering of visionaries, of leaders, of dreamers who dare to shape tomorrow. Welcome to Addis Ababa, to the heart of a continent on the rise. Welcome to the second Africa Climate Summit.
Thank you for that powerful visual message. We now move to the statements by our distinguished invited guests. It is now my great honor to invite His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic of Djibouti.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, permettez-moi tout d'abord d'exprimer au gouvernement et au peuple frère d'Éthiopie mes remerciements les plus sincères pour l'accueil chaleureux et l'organisation réussie de ce deuxième sommet sur le climat. Remerciements à la Commission de l'Union africaine constant pour Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'urgence climatique est devenue une préoccupation mondiale. Aujourd'hui, le réchauffement climatique s'impose à nous comme une évidence, comme une contrainte, mais aussi comme un défi énorme à relever. Car nous le constatons partout dans notre vécu, dans notre ressenti, chez nos agriculteurs, chez nos éleveurs, dans nos villes, dans nos campagnes, les soubresauts climatiques engendrent des destructions et catastrophes en cascade. Il a été évalué que les effets climatiques combinés réduisent de 3% du PIB les perspectives de croissance de notre continent. Aujourd'hui, le paradoxe de notre continent réside dans l'équation suivante. En effet, malgré le fait que nous contribuons à une infime part des émissions mondiales à effet de serre, nous en subissons les coûts rudes, que cela soit en termes de sécheresse, d'inondations ou de vagues de chaleur. Face à ce diagnostic alarmant, notre réponse doit être à la hauteur de l'urgence. Afin que les mêmes causes ne produisent pas les mêmes effets, il nous faut changer de paradigme et nous tourner vers un modèle de développement alternatif qui inscrit la transition énergétique au cœur de nos priorités. Mesdames et Messieurs, aujourd'hui, notre continent poursuit un double objectif, celui de l'adaptation et de l'atténuation, inscrit à l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine, mais aussi dans des cadres multilatéraux, notamment l'accord de Paris sur le climat. Dans l'immédiat, l'urgence appelle à la mise en place d'une stratégie d'adaptation. Cela se passe notamment par la restauration des écosystèmes dégradés, mais aussi par des investissements dans le développement social des communautés vulnérables. À ce propos, je voudrais partager avec vous l'expertise de mon pays avec la mise en place de la Sovereign Carbon Agency. En effet, depuis 2 ans déjà, l'agence collecte les contributions carbone basées sur le principe pollueur-payeur et les transforme en projets d'adaptation pour les communautés impactées par le réchauffement climatique. Les revenus générés ont permis de créer des conditions favorables pour le financement des petits projets destinés aux populations vulnérables. Nous devons tous ensemble réfléchir à la manière d'harmoniser cette taxe carbone à l'échelle de notre continent. Cela pourrait maximiser les financements pour l'adaptation, promouvoir une transition énergétique équitable, renforcer la coopération régionale et donner au continent une voix plus forte sur la scène internationale. Pour affronter l'hydre du réchauffement climatique, il nous faut mettre en place un mécanisme de financement pérenne C'est ce mécanisme, à n'en pas douter, qui sera le baromètre de la crédibilité de la communauté internationale et à terme de l'efficacité des politiques pour lutter contre le réchauffement climatique. Pour exploiter les nombreuses potentialités énergétiques décarbonées de notre continent, nous devons porter à au moins 20% la part de financement des énergies renouvelables d'ici 2030. C'est pourquoi nous plaidons pour un accès simplifié, rapide et massif aux fonds internationaux pour investir dans les infrastructures vertes et résilientes. À ce propos, l'accord obtenu pendant la COP 29 permettant de tripler les flux financiers vers les pays en développement d'ici 2035 va dans le bon sens. Mais nous savons que cela reste insuffisant pour atteindre nos objectifs. Ce sommet intervient à la veille de l'Assemblée générale des Nations unies et de la COP 30 sur le changement climatique. C'est une opportunité pour nous pour appeler d'une seule voix à une justice climatique fondée sur le principe de responsabilité commune mais différenciée. C'est une opportunité également pour rappeler à nos partenaires internationaux leur engagement dans le financement de la transition écologique dans son ensemble. Je pense par exemple aux mécanismes novateurs tels que l'allègement de la dette en échange d'investissements verts, au fonds de compensation et de la transition écologique dans son ensemble. Je pense par exemple aux mécanismes novateurs tels que l'allègement de la dette en échange d'investissements verts, au fonds de compensation pour les pertes et les dommages, mais aussi au fonds vert pour le climat. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, unissons nos efforts et nos forces, faisant en sorte que le financement climatique devienne le levier d'une renaissance africaine verte et solidaire. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
We thank Your Excellency. And Chair of the Committee of the African Heads of State and Government on Climate Change.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to gather here in Addis Ababa a city that has often been the stage of Africa's unity, and that today reminds us of the strength of our collective purpose. I thank Ethiopia for its generosity in hosting us and for carrying forward the spirit of Nairobi into this second Africa Climate Summit. 2 years ago, I had the honor of welcoming you to the inaugural Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi. Then, we looked ahead to a future of possibility, of global collaboration and resilient prosperity and inclusive growth for Africa. In Nairobi, we introduced a bold new perspective of Africa as a continent of opportunity and source of solution, not just a victim. We framed climate action not as a burden, but as a driver of economic growth, transformation, and job creation for African communities. Together, we adopted climate-positive growth as our development paradigm. In doing so, the Nairobi Declaration established Africa not only as a partner, but as a power in the emerging global order. 2 years later, we have come a long way. Our potential is recognized, our voice is heard, and our solutions are being deployed. From green infrastructure and climate-smart agriculture to landscape restoration, waste management, and even cutting-edge technologies like direct air capture. Across the continent, African entrepreneurs and communities are innovating and building resilience from the ground up. Yet, while progress has been made, the world around us is changing fast. Global interconnectedness is deepening, but so too is the temptation to retreat into narrow self-interest, transactional partnerships, and short-term gains. Too often, commitments are broken and international solidarity is dismissed as weakness, precisely when the scale of climate crisis demands enhanced cooperation, not less. The truth is undeniable. No nation can solve this crisis alone. Only through bold, united, and sustained collaboration can we avert climate catastrophe. Isolation is not a winning strategy. It is courting failure. Acting alone, we will squander time, waste resources, and forfeit the future. These realities compel us to remain steadfast in building a modern, green, and inclusive industrial base here at home to secure Africa's rightful place in the global economy and to foster the solidarity needed to confront climate change. Ethiopia, as a host of this summit, has rightly placed the emphasis on implementation and finance, moving from vision to action. Realizing our vision of climate-positive growth requires action on two fronts. Africa must exercise its agency decisively, urgently, and coherently. And the international system must dismantle the structural barriers that continue to hold the continent back. Both demand deeper collaboration. Africa is already stepping up. Nationally, regionally, and internationally, we are putting in place policies that attract investment, reward innovation, and ensure fair value for our resources. Increasingly, we present a united African voice in global discussions. We are also bridging previously siloed debates, including linking debt, fiscal space, nature, and climate to craft systemic and coordinated solutions. We have strengthened our institutions and regional mechanisms, from the Alliance of African Multilateral Financial Institutions, and I see TDB, Afri-Exim, and other African institutions in our midst, while also enhancing the place for African Credit Rating Agency, and also advancing ACFTA through the Africa Green Industrialization Initiative. By linking this initiative with the accelerated partnership of renewables in Africa, we ensure that investment drives progress in both energy and industry. The twin engines of our modern Africa economy built on abundant clean power. Still more, ladies and gentlemen, must be done, including deepening fiscal discipline, accelerating trade integration, mobilizing African institutions' capital, investing in knowledge, and improving governance. These are the foundations of resilience. The Nairobi Declaration is a political compact. Africa must lead in advancing this agenda, while international players have the responsibility and the self-interest to support it. Success will depend on both sides. Africa delivering at home and the global system opening space where Africa's climate, business, and development goals converge. This requires lowering the cost of capital through reforms at the global financial institutions, expanding concessional flows, mobilizing private investments at scale, integrating climate into lending, and tackling currency and debt risks. It means reforming trade and subsidy regimes and opening global markets to Africa's value-added goods and solutions, from climate-smart agriculture and green industrial products to carbon credits. Yet today, climate action risks being sidelined as national security and short-term interests drive transactional approaches to trade and investment. Development assistance is shrinking. While this strengthens our resolve to design, finance, and drive our own future, it also reflects a world where too many assume that for some to win, others must lose. It has never been more urgent for Africa to stand together and demonstrate that collaboration delivers prosperity and peace for all of us. Our economies, our weather systems, and our very survival are interconnected. We must focus on win-win solutions because they do exist and they are firmly within reach. That is why we are here to celebrate our achievements since the first Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi, confront challenges with unity, hold ourselves accountable, and inspire one another to greater action. We captured that spirit in the report we released today. We called it, and I quote, Africa's Journey of Climate Action and Partnership, to reflect that our climate summits are not events, but part of a journey towards a climate-safe future, a destination that is certain, but only if we journey together. There are copies of this summation available in this summit. This journey, ladies and gentlemen, also includes our global partners who must be held accountable not only to us, but to the future of humanity. From this Addis Ababa, home of humanity, our ancestors ventured into the world. Today, from this same home, let us offer transformative solutions to preserve the human family. With innovation, determination, and unity, Africa will drive global climate action and shape a sustainable, prosperous future for us and for everybody. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your strong advocacy and commitment to climate action. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, to deliver his statement.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency President Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Excellencies, heads of states and governments and delegations, it's a great honor for me to be here and share the Somalians' views and positions in this important summit of African climate. Somalia has been a victim for the climate change for a long time and has been very busy for building institutions that cover most of its resilience, and importance of the climate excellence. On behalf of the Federal Republic of Somalia, I extend our deep gratitude to the government and the people of Ethiopia and to the African Union Commission for hosting the second Africa Climate Summit in this great city, Addis Ababa. We gather under a vital, timely theme, accelerating global climate solutions, financing for Africa's resilience and green development. Somalia stands in full alignment with this vision, prioritizing Africa-led solutions and mobilization of accessible and affordable climate finance at scale. Somalia's contribution to the global greenhouse gases emission is insignificant. However, we are among the world's most climate vulnerable nations, suffering from recurrent climate shocks that are painful to endure. Climate crisis is taking a heavy toll on Somali people. Between 2021 and 2023, our country endured the most severe drought in 4 decades, affecting 7.8 million people, nearly half of the population. This resulted in a widespread food insecurity, loss of livelihoods, and millions of internally displaced people, further compounding our already challenging socio-economic and security landscape. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, priorities anchored in the African agenda, the Nairobi Declaration of 2023 during the first African Climate Summit set a continental course to expand Africa's renewable generation to 300 gigawatts by 2030. This requires around $600 billion and reforms of the global financial architecture so that no longer nations must choose between development and climate action. It's also called for operationalization of the loss and damage fund and elevating Africa's role in integrity-based carbon markets. Somalia stands firmly behind this agenda. Guided by that vision and our national determined contribution, Somalia's climate priorities are clear. Number one, protect lives and livelihoods through adaptation at scale. Our NDC 3.0 estimated $6.3 billion is needed for adaptation in 2025-2035, covering a climate-smart agriculture and livestock, water security, health, disaster preparedness, resilient human settlement, coastal protection, fisheries, clean energy access, and a range land restoration. Number 2, advanced early warning and risk management. We are working with the World Meteorological Organization and partners to strengthen hydromet and early warning services aligned with the UN's early warning for all by 2027 initiative. In this regard, Somalia is also in the process of establishing its National Meteorological Office, which has already been endorsed by the Cabinet and is now awaiting approval by the Parliament. Number 3, accelerating affordable energy. Electrification remains too low and too costly. Electricity access in Somalia is below 50%, with pronounced urban-rural gaps. Somalia will expand decentralized renewable energy and mini grids where the grid is distant, leveraging exceptional solar and significant wind potential. 4, unlock the blue economy. Sustainable fisheries can boost livelihoods through investment in coastal resiliency, cold chain infrastructure, and habitat restoration, ensuring food security, economic growth, and stronger climate adaptation for coastal communities. 5, curb deforestation and charcoal. We are committed to enforcing the UN Security Council ban on Somali charcoal exports and providing viable clean energy alternative and greening programs in the country where we lost forests due to charcoal. What we have done, Somalia's achievement, Somalia is the first country in the East Africa to submit its NDC 3.0, demonstrating leadership and readiness to implement ambitious climate action. In 2022, we launched Green Somalia Initiative campaign to plant 10 million trees, and in 2023, we joined the Great Green Wall Initiative with a 10 million pledge to combat deforestation and biodiversity loss. We have established the policy and institutional framework to mobilize climate finance with the establishment of the National Climate Fund for the first time in Somalia. The Green Climate Fund announced an accelerated 100 million partnership for Somalia in 2024, and both GEF and the Adaptation Fund are meaningfully engaging with our government. Somalia's epic debt relief of 4.5 billion lowered debt from 64% of the GDP in 2018 to below 6% by the end of 2023, creating room to invest in climate resilience. Our government is also focused on increasing domestic revenue, further strengthening public financial management, and creating a conducive investment environment to attract investment to enhance resilience building. Resilience on the ground. With our partner, we are expanding multi-use water infrastructure and climate-smart land management in dry lands. Canal and flood relief works along the Shabelle and Juba rivers are helping reduce disaster losses and improve food security. Opportunities in Somalia. Somalia is ready to help deliver the continent's renewable surge. Private developers and communities are co-creating solar hybrid mini grids and growing. We are to scale proven models with grants and highly concessional finance, lowering tariffs for households and business while crowding in private capital in the sector. Our blue economy can be a resilience engine. Sustainable fisheries, restored mangroves, and shorelines and climate-smart coastal infrastructure, if supported by targeted affordable finance and ocean climate partnership referenced in the Nairobi Declaration. In our people, farmers, pastoralists, fishing community, women and youth are already leading solutions. Africa-made innovation is taking root across Somalia. Our task is to scale what works for us and for the continent. Our call, Africa's common position is, number one, to deliver finance at the right scale and on the right terms. Number two, to operationalize and capitalize loss and damage, moving from pledges to predictable disbursements that reach frontline countries like Somalia quickly and directly, aligned with the nationally led priorities. Number three, back adaptation at scale to scale up investment in resilient agriculture, water security, and nature-based solutions, ensuring adaptation finance follows directly to vulnerable communities and support nationally defined resilience priorities. Our commitment, Somalia reaffirms its conditional NDC target to reduce emission by 34 below business as usual by 2035, while placing adaptation, protecting lives, food systems, water health, and infrastructure at the center of our development pathway. We will continue integrating climate risk in every sector policy, scaling locally led solutions, and building strong institutions for delivery. Mr. Chair, Excellencies, Africa's case is compelling and just. Decarbonizing the global economy is inseparable from delivering development in Africa. Let Addis Ababa be remembered as the moment we moved from declarations to delivery together. I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you. I have the honor to invite His Excellency Brahim Gali, President of the Saharawi Arab Democratic Republic, to make his statement.
قامت السيد أبي أحمد رئيس وزراء جمهورية إثيوبيا، أصحاب الفخامة والمعالي والسعادة، السيد رئيس المفوضية الاتحاد الإفريقي، السادة والسيدات الحضور، يسعدني مرة أخرى أن أعبر باسم شعب الجمهورية العربية الصحراوية الديمقراطية وحكومتها عن بالغ الامتنان والتقدير لجمهورية إثيوبيا الفيدرالية الديمقراطية على حسن الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة والتنظيم المتميز لهذه القمة، قمة المناخ الثانية. كما أخص بالشكر الاتحاد الإفريقي على جهوده المتواصلة في تعزيز العمل المناخي المشترك وإنجاح هذه القمة التي تأتي امتداداً لقمة نيروبي التاريخية. إن انعقاد هذه القمة يمثل محطة مهمة في مسار إفريقيا نحو العدالة المناخية والتنمية المستدامة. فالقارة الإفريقية رغم مساهمتها الضئيلة في الانبعاثات العالمية تظل الأكثر تضرراً من آثار التغيير المناخي، مما يستدعي منا جميعاً توحيد الجهود لضمان استفادة عادلة من الموارد المخصصة لمواجهة هذه التحديات عبر آليات تمويل منصفة وشفافة. وفي هذا السياق تؤكد الجمهورية الصحراوية أهمية الاستفادة من كل المبادرات والتجمعات الإفريقية المعنية بالمناخ، وتعزيز التنسيق بين الدول الأعضاء لتفعيل الحلول المحلية والمستدامة، خاصة في مجالات التكيف، الزراعة الذكية، والطاقة المتجددة، وحماية سيادة الشعوب على ثرواتها الطبيعية. إن بلادنا تواجه تحديات بيئية جسيمة. إن بلادنا تواجه تحديات بيئية جسيمة، فإضافة إلى ظاهرة التصحر السريع، هناك الحرب المفروضة ضد احتلال لا شرعي يتصرف في ثرواتنا خارج النظم والقوانين التي تحمي البيئة والمناخ، بما في ذلك عبر زرع ملايين الألغام على امتداد شاسع من الصحراء الغربية، ما يهدد الحياة البشرية ويؤثر على التنوع البيولوجي ويقوض نمط عيش المواطن الصحراوي. وتزداد هذه التحديات تعقيداً في ظل ظروف اللجوء التي تضاعف هشاشة النظم البيئية وتحد من قدرة الدولة على الاستجابة الفعالة. لذا فإننا نناشد المجتمع الإفريقي والدولي دعم جهود الجمهورية الصحراوية في مجال حماية البيئة ومكافحة التصحر وتعزيز صمود المجتمعات المحلية من خلال تمويل المشاريع المناخية وتوفير التكنولوجيا وبناء القدرات. ختاماً، نؤكد التزامنا الكامل بمخرجات هذه القمة وبدعم المبادرات الرامية إلى بناء إفريقيا خضراء عادلة ومزدهرة. وشكراً، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Thank you, Excellency. I now have the honor to invite Mr. Selwyn Hart, UN Assistant Secretary General and Societal Representative of the Secretary General on Climate Change.
Good morning, Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, distinguished presidents, prime ministers, ministers, excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, it is an honor to join you in Addis Ababa for the second Africa Climate Summit. I thank the government of Ethiopia and the African Union for convening us at such a critical time. We gather at a moment of global turmoil and uncertainty. Poverty eradication has stalled, inequality is widening, debt burdens are crushing progress, multilateralism is under attack, shaken by mistrust and division, and all over it looms the climate crisis. Here in Africa, climate impacts wipe out 5% of GDP each year and consume up to 9% of national budgets in rebuilding costs. By 2030, another 118 million Africans could be exposed to climate extremes. But as the Secretary General has said, we cannot sugarcoat these facts, but neither can we surrender to them. Because alongside the story of crisis, there's another story unfolding, one of opportunity. The opportunity to break free from fossil fuel dependency, the opportunity to finally close the energy access gap, the opportunity to unleash a wave of new industries, jobs, and growth powered by clean, homegrown, affordable, and abundant energy. And here is the good news. The clean energy revolution is no longer tomorrow's promise, it is today's reality. Last year, global investment in renewables exceeded fossil fuels by $800 billion. Over 90% of new renewable power is now cheaper than fossil fuel alternatives. 10 years ago, installing 1 gigawatt of solar took nearly a week. Today, it takes just 19 hours. Excellencies, the tipping point has been crossed, but two uncomfortable truths remain. First, the transition is too slow. The 1.5-degree limit, a threshold critical to preventing the worst impacts of the climate crisis, is slipping out of reach. And second, thus far, the transition has not been fair. Since the adoption of the Paris Agreement 10 years ago, 4 out of every 5 clean energy dollars has gone to the advanced economies and China. Africa, with 60% of the world's best solar resources, 30% of critical energy transition minerals, vast hydro, wind, and geothermal resources, receives just 2% of global clean energy investment. Meanwhile, 600 million Africans live without electricity, and over 1 billion still lack clean cooking. This is the injustice of our time, but it is also the opportunity of our time, because Africa has the resources, Africa has the markets, Africa has the people, and Africa has the solutions. What is missing is not potential, but fair finance and policy certainty. Look at South Africa. A single policy change lifting the cap on self-generation unlocked 4 gigawatts of solar in just over a year. And look at Ethiopia, a global model on electric mobility. Africa holds the keys to its own clean energy future. but it cannot turn them alone. The international financial system must work for Africa and not against it. And this means developed countries delivering on their international public climate finance commitments, changing outdated models to price risk. It means making the multilateral development banks bigger and better so that they can massively leverage private finance at affordable rates to help African countries build truly sustainable and resilient economies. It means taking credible action on debt relief, including scaling up instruments such as debt for climate and nature swaps. And it means moving from exploring to truly implementing new and innovative sources of finance, including solidarity levies. Excellencies, alongside supporting Africa's clean energy transition, we must also ensure climate justice is delivered to Africa to tackle the existential threat that it did virtually nothing to cause. Africa requires a massive boost in adaptation finance, with the international community bearing an enormous responsibility. Every dollar spent on adaptation pays back tenfold in stronger economies and safer societies. But ultimately, Excellencies, the best way to protect Africa is to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And we need all countries to produce new national climate action plans, or NDCs, before COP30 that align with this goal. Together, we must push for the leadership from the G20 countries, the biggest emitters, the biggest economies with the biggest responsibilities. In support of this effort, the Secretary General will convene with President Lula of Brazil a special event on climate in New York on September 24th for all countries to bring forward their new NDCs. Excellencies, allow me to re-extend the Secretary General's warm invitation to all African leaders to attend, participate, and present their new national climate plans. For African and other developing countries, this new generation of NDCs are not just climate targets. They are investment roadmaps for just, resilient, and prosperous economies. Agenda 2063 speaks of the Africa we want: prosperous, united, resilient. This is Africa's moment of opportunity to protect lives and livelihoods, to harness clean energy for prosperity and independence. The Secretary General and the entire United Nations system, we stand with you every step of the way. Let us move forward together. Let us seize this moment. Let us get to work and deliver this African decade of delivery. I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for your unwavering commitment to climate action. And now, I have the honor to invite His Excellency Mukhtar Babayev, President of COP29, to make his statement.
Excellencies, distinguished ministers, colleagues, dear friends, it is a pleasure to join you all at the second Africa Climate Summit. Thank you to our hosts, the government of Ethiopia and the African Union, for bringing us together. And thank you all for the opportunity to speak. Colleagues, we know all too well the threat that the climate crisis poses to the world. We also know that African nations will be on the front lines of this challenges despite contributing the least to global emissions. The task ahead is daunting. It will be easy to lose faith, but we are all here because we share a vision for a climate resilient and prosperous future for this continent. We are here because we recognize Africa's rich potential. And we are here because we know that multilateralism is the best way to deliver on that potential. That is Africa we want. And that Agenda 2063 is working towards. Africa has the potential to be a global leader in the net zero transition. The continent has a young, ambitious population. You have incredible potential for renewable energy, impressive supplies of critical minerals and resources, and rich natural capital that stores carbon and supports biodiversity. But at present, this potential is being wasted. To take just one example, Africa has 40% of global solar potential, but only 1% of its current installed capacity. That's why Azerbaijan is here today, to explore and unlock new partnerships and investments. Here, we should recognize the work of Mission 300 to connect 300 million people to electricity by 2030. The COP29 presidency was honored to attend the Mission 300 Africa Energy Summit in Dar es Salaam in January to show our support. We need more programs like this. But this will only happen if we put in place the means of implementation for developing nations. This was a key focus of COP29, and we took historic steps forward in Baku. Developed countries promised to take the lead on mobilizing $300 million of climate finance per year by 2035. We agreed a new goal for all actors to deliver $1.3 trillion of climate finance to developing countries per year by 2035. And we set the rules for high-integrity carbon markets that could be worth $1 trillion per year. But now we need to deliver on these commitments. The COP29 presidency will hold everyone to account for the promises they made. We will collaborate with you to make the global financial system work better for people and the planet and deliver on this continent's rich potential. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your inspiring words and global vision. Now I have the honor to invite His Excellency Ambassador André Correa de Logo, COP30 President-designate.
Prime Minister of Ethiopia, His Excellency Abiy Ahmed, the Chairman of the Commission of the African Union, Sir Mahmoud Yusuf, Heads of States and Government, distinguished leaders, Excellencies, it's a great honor to stand before you on African soil and address the second African Climate Summit, bringing together Africa's leaders, and as a sequel of the historic first Nairobi Summit. Africa's unity through the African Union is a gift to the world. When Africa comes together with one voice, the world must listen. As we all know, Brazil has historical human ties with Africa. People of African descent represent almost 60% of Brazilians, and we are extremely proud of it. As President Lula says, Africa is part of our identity. And I have to say that the show that we had at the opening of this ceremony with these amazing musicians and dancers, as a Brazilian, I was really wanting to join them in the stage. Against the background of systemic uncertainty in which climate urgency interacts with compounding geopolitical and socio-economic challenges, Brazil is working hard for COP30 to represent an inflection around three priorities. One, reinforcing multilateralism and the climate change regime under the UNFCCC. Second, connecting the climate regime to people's real lives and the real economy. And third, accelerating the implementation of the Paris Agreement. The incoming COP30 presidency counts with Africa to secure and safeguard the multilateral climate system. Although imperfect, we know multilateralism is the only way to fight climate change. And we know some actors would be happy to see multilateralism fail. Together, we can prove them wrong. Together, we can change by choice rather than being imposed change by global warming. The world needs to fight climate change. The world needs to fight climate change for Africa because, as was said here before, the contribution of Africa for global warming is absolutely minimal. So, this deeply unfair situation, it shows climate injustice at the highest level. Africa is rich beyond measure. This country, this continent, has a potential that is extraordinary, but the realities of today are already extraordinary. And there is a paradox of abundance and deprivation that is a challenge to all to confront, and I believe that the leaders here present have the power to rewrite. Special needs and circumstances are a scientifically legitimate demand, and it is also an ethical imperative. The increased vulnerability to climate impact will hamper the development of most countries of Africa and also of the continent of where Brazil is, precisely when their peoples are progressing towards improving their standards of life. We cannot allow climate change to hinder the right to development of the peoples. Challenges of climate change are challenges of development in all its dimensions. The 5 principles embodied in the 1992 Convention: mitigation, adaptation, finance, technology, and capacity building. We know we need to reform the multilateral financial architecture and remove barriers and address these enablers faced by developing countries in financing climate action, including the high costs of capital, the limited fiscal space, the unsustainable debt levels, the high transaction costs, the conditionalities for accessing climate finance. We must progress in mainstreaming climate into investment and finance. I must acknowledge here His Excellency, the President of Kenya, William Ruto, because of the Nairobi Declaration, which together with the Bridgetown Initiative that Prime Minister Motley, who was here yesterday, are inspirations for Minister Babayev and I to prepare the roadmap from Baku to Berlin. On Saturday, at the special event on the special circumstances of Africa, we heard from the Ethiopian Minister of Planning and Development that Africa cannot be seen only as a victim of climate change, but as a provider of solutions. The Prime Minister this morning, in this exceptional speech, has also mentioned so many of the solutions that Africa can bring to the continent and to the world. And as I heard this week from many leaders, Africa is not waiting. The examples are shining. And I think that Ethiopia, with its investment in energy mix that is not only clean but also resilient, and with the amazing initiative of the Green Legacy Initiative aimed at planting 50 billion trees in Ethiopia, is an inspiring example for us all. A just and inclusive energy transition on the continent is looking ever more like an opportunity to create jobs, distribute wealth, and generate income, in particular to the youth. We refer to just energy transitions in Brazil because we must recognize that every country, every region have to have its own path. And in Brazil, at COP30, we are absolutely ready to embrace many of the priorities of Africa, and a very special focus will be given to Mission 300 and clean cooking at COP30. As we are preparing a COP in a tropical forest, we will also have many things regarding forests, and we must make sure that forests are seen by the world as solutions to many of the problems that were caused by other countries. In that context, we must have mechanisms that deal with the three great challenges we have with forests, which is fighting deforestation, which is also restoration of forests, and obviously the conservation of forest. And in that context, we need many instruments, and Brazil is going to strengthen the ideas surrounding the Tropical Forest Forever facility that it is promoting. But adaptation, how can we not talk about adaptation, a key priority for COP30? The adaptation agenda will focus not only on scaling finance, advancing the global goal on adaptation, but integrating resilience across all sectors of development. Climate shocks already cost the global economy hundreds of billions annually, making it urgent to mainstream adaptation into all economic instruments, from planning and budgeting to trade and investment framework. By investing in adaptation, we safeguard infrastructure, protect communities, and unlock opportunities for a sustainable, inclusive prosperity. In my first letter as COP President-designate, I invited the international community to join hands in what we call a mutirão. Mutirão is when everybody gets together with the same objective, but each one doing what they know how to do and doing it by themselves. In the run-up of COP30, we wanted to mobilize all actors in this global mutirão: governments, civil society, private sector, indigenous peoples, local communities, all together to enhance climate action. The Brazilian delegation this week in Addis Ababa included the Minister of Environment, myself as President-designate, but also the CEO of COP30, also the high-level champion, the youth champion. So we brought everyone that is going to prepare COP30 to Africa to listen to all the dimensions that Africa wants to see included in COP30. One of the many reasons that we go back to Brazil very excited about what we can do is because we are preparing an action agenda that is designed to receive the solutions that Africa wants to present to the world. So this is an invitation to all sectors of the African countries of this extraordinary continent to come to Brazil. We need concrete answers to climate change. And we have taken the approach of building upon all the other presidencies of COPs have made before us. So we need to have a granary of solutions, and I am sure that the world will be surprised by what countries like Brazil and the continent of Africa can present. We want COP to be a COP of implementation, but why this moment COP of implementation? Because we have already negotiated a lot, we can already implement a lot. And as we continue to negotiate, as we continue to have papers, we will have action to show. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, President Lula wanted since the beginning, since the first moment, to bring the COP to the heart of the Amazon. He wanted to show the world the reality of the forest that everyone loves, but very few actually know. The Amazon shares the African paradox, one of the world's richest nations, one of the richest regions in Brazil, and at the same time, unfortunately, with all its natural resources, it is a region that has the poorest indicators in Brazil. I am sure that all the things that unite Brazil and the African continent will be very clear at COP30. And we know that together with Africa, we are totally convinced that we can make an exceptional COP30. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for your message and your dedication to multilateral progress on climate action. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 more speakers for the morning segment. Now, I have the honor to call upon Her Excellency Teresa Rivera, EU Executive Vice President for a Clean, Just and Competitive Transition, to make her address.
Excellencies, dear Prime Minister from Ethiopia, leader from the African Union, dear leaders, dear colleagues, I would like first to express our deepest gratitude for your invitation to join you in this very relevant meeting. It is an honor to be with you in African soil in Addis Ababa for this second Africa Climate Summit. Thanks for the warm welcome and my sincere congratulations for this very impressive summit and the wise work you are already undertaking. On the basis of cooperation, on the basis of finding solutions, on the basis of uniting your voices, so to come up, to defend, to invest, and to create, keep on building the best possible Africa. You are an example for the world. Your impressive deployment of renewable energy, your investment in development, sustainable development, your commitment and your engagement to impress everybody, to give us the enthusiasm to keep on going. Here in this room, we represent nations linked by history and geography, but above all, by a pressing challenge and a common vision. And we, in our continents, in our countries, know that working together with our neighbors, with our friends, is the best way forward. We face amid interconnected challenges, climate action, inequalities, aspirations of peace and prosperity. This triggers fair development and opportunities for our peoples and societies. At a time when multilateralism, the rule of law, and the very principles of human dignity, peace, and cooperation are being questioned by some, we need to stay firm to defend multilateral and regional cooperation, because we know this is part of our duty. We know that cooperation may be challenging, but the lack of it is a certain failure. I'm here to say loud and clear, in these turbulent times, we, Europeans, will not give up. We will not give up on our responsibilities. We will stand up firm and stand by you. You raise your voice, claiming for improving the capacities to be resilient, to count on adaptation, because adaptation is not anymore any kind of future task. It is today's reality when we think in terms of needs. Climate change is already shaping lives and livelihoods. Even in the most optimistic scenarios, the threats are severe. Therefore, adaptation is and will remain a central pillar of our cooperation with Africa. Together with European member states, we are advancing the Team Europe initiative on climate change adaptation and resilience, investing in preparedness, supporting communities affected by displacement, and opening access to Copernicus satellite data so that decisions can be based on sound evidence. From the Global Shield to regional climate security programs, our goal is clear. Preparedness saves lives, strengthens peace, and creates stability that attracts investments and facilitates economic performance. 10 years after Paris, we have seen progress. Back in 2015, we were heading towards more than 3 degrees Celsius warming. Today, the trajectory is closer to 2.1, but it is obvious it is not enough. Paris Agreement is delivering, but we are still far away from being on track. Therefore, in these challenging times, COP30 is a new important gathering to ensure we turn ambition into action and solutions. We prove the resilience of our global cooperation. We improve performance and create new opportunities. Together, we can uphold the Paris Agreement on mitigation, adaptation, finance, develop our capacities, work together for those solutions that we still require. We speak about national contributions and the need to align with 1.5 degrees goal, covering all gases and sectors, responding to the first global stocktake. Our national contributions to reduce emissions are the safety net of our future. But they are also our plans to invest in our future. New climate plans are a great opportunity to link climate, energy, sustainable development, attract investment, creating jobs and skills, strengthening resilience, security and prosperity, thinking on financial requirements, showing how we can improve the quality of our action on the ground. Because it is truth that we need justice. Justice requires that those who did contribute the least or not at all, but face the most harming impacts of this crisis, are not left alone. This means stronger contributions to loss and damage funds, more adaptation and resilient finance, and massive investments in clean energy, in biodiversity, in forest, in sustainable development. This also means coherence in finding the best ways to adequate resources and needs, to identify the financial tools to update the assessment of risk and values. This means thinking on new avenues of finance, including new instruments as proposed by different players already. In 2023, 43% of the European Union and member states' climate finance came to Africa. farming, water resilience, early warning systems, infrastructures, urban development or energy. All fields deserve action. Mainstreaming is so important, taking into consideration reality and climate change, and luckily is also reality, is important. Through the Global Gateway, we aim to mobilize 150 billion euros in the investments that may be required by 2027 in renewable energy, value chains, resilient infrastructure. We want to work with you in the definition, in the understanding of how we can improve the conditions to be sure that both public and private funding investment take place. But we know also that finance means lowering borrowing costs, improving debt restructuring, building a financial system that enables sustainable development rather than blocking it. And we also need to talk and to work together in these fields. Africa is home to 60% of the world's best solar resources, 30% of the critical minerals, and a young and optimistic set of generations ready to innovate, to boost a bright collection of solutions to build a better future. Yet, nearly 600 million people still lack electricity. Closing the gap is urgent and possible. And we are well aware that reliance on fossil fuel prevents investing relevant resources into a cleaner, fairer, and more prosperous future. Of course, we may need them right now, but the later we shift, the more capital that will be burned, and the later new opportunities will come up. The European Union remains Africa's largest trading partner and investor. Together, we can turn potential into reality. We can build clean energy systems. We can add value to raw materials. We can think on industrial opportunities. We can create decent jobs and resilient communities. We can help each other. We can be next to you. We can use our way to Luanda's Africa-European Union Summit as an opportunity to renovate our partnerships, to state loud and clear our willingness to go forward through economic partnership agreements, to support each other, to think together on how we can be the ones that with the rest of the world willing to invest in the future, in peace, prosperity, and solidarity, we can claim the need to do it right now. Africa and Europe have the talent, the resources, the partnerships to shape a future of social justice and inclusiveness, prosperity and hope. Let us say it together, and to our very dear colleagues that have been dealing with the previous COP in Baku, in the incoming COP in Belém, please be reassured, you can count on us, because we stand by your side, and we together can do a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Excellency. It is my honor to invite Ms. Elizabeth Watuti, representing African Youth Assembly.
Excellencies, heads of state and government, distinguished delegates, standing on the already established protocols, my name is Elizabeth Wathuti, the regional co-lead for the Africa Youth Climate Assembly, ICA 2025, and I am joined by my colleague,
Jodahi Bezabe Petros. I'm also the Ethiopian Youth representative for ICA. Under the theme Unlocking Youth Power for Accelerated Global Climate Solutions and Financing for Africa's Resilient and Green Development, the African Youth Climate Assembly, ICA 2025, held at Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, the place of victory on the 5th and 6th of September, was a resounding success, mobilizing over 600 youths from across Africa, sub-regions, local Ethiopian youth, and more than 1,500 virtual participants. Graced by His Excellency Mr. Temesgen Terune, Deputy Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Her Excellency Dr. Fitsum Asafa, the Minister of Planning and Development, and Her Excellency Dr. Ergoge Tesfaye, Minister of Women and Social Affairs, dignitaries, and most importantly, the Ethiopian youth were represented. Elizabeth?
As collectively highlighted in our ICA 2025 Addis Ababa Declaration, Excellencies, the youth are just a platform and investment away from achieving full potential and continuing to seek for these two things. One, the establishment of a future-looking Africa climate governance framework that ensures the full institutionalization of the Africa Youth Climate Assembly as the mandated continental platform for youth engagement in climate governance within the African Union frameworks. This is going to ensure a guaranteed, structured representation of young people in the Africa Climate Summit and across all African Union climate governance processes. And two, furthermore, we emphasize the creation of a continental youth climate fund hosted within the Assembly to mobilize resources from the diverse sources, public, private, philanthropic, and others to support youth-led innovations, solutions, and initiatives, as well as to enable the meaningful, sub-regionally equitable, and sustained participation of African youth in national, regional, and international climate and environmental processes. And in closing, Your Excellency, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister, if the youth of Africa can walk away with this outcome, we would be so proud of ACS2 here in Addis Ababa. Excellencies, I would like to kindly request for your permission to present the declaration from African young people to you. And I would like to request His Excellency President William Ruto to join in receiving the declaration in his capacity as the chair of the Committee for Africa Heads of State and Government on Climate Change, and His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the chairperson of the African Union Commission. Thank you, Excellencies.
We thank the African Youth Assembly for their powerful message. Now it's my honor to invite Dr. Mihika Mwenda, representing civil society.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. My name is Mithika Mwendra, the Executive Director of the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. I am with also my colleague here.
I am Jonas Gabru, Chairperson of the Non-State Actors and Inclusivity Committee for the Africa Climate Summit 2.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It is good to be in the land of origins. It is good to be at home. We are truly delighted to speak today as we gather for the second Africa Climate Summit. As I mentioned during the opening of the inaugural summit in Nairobi, Kenya, 2 years ago, the voice of non-state actors is vital in shaping climate solutions that resonate with the aspirations and desires of the people and impact. Let me add that it is also central to ensure that choices and decisions we make are legitimate, mandated, and owned by the people. Allow me, therefore, to begin by acknowledging the leadership of the Ethiopian government and African Union Commission, the co-conveners of this summit. They have ensured that non-state actors are not only consulted, but incorporated into the governance of the summit and strengthened to shape the agenda for discussions and the summit's outcomes. The second Africa Climate Summit has already succeeded in that regard. Our presence here today is evidence of our leadership and our leaders' commitment in advancing Africa-led, people-driven climate solutions. For decades, the continent has been framed as a victim and a charity dependent that cannot help itself. But the story is changing. Africa is not waiting to be saved. Africa is leading the global effort to address climate crisis. 2 years ago in Nairobi, we made history. The inaugural Africa Climate Summit declared Africa's ambition and agency to the world. The Nairobi Declaration was bold in many ways. It set a new tone for our engagement with the global climate processes, Your Excellencies. But, Excellencies, let me be very honest. The Nairobi Declaration was also exposed the limits of declarations without delivery. It lacked an action plan with clear timelines, milestones, and accountability. As a result, much of its promises remains unrealized. That is why ACS2 cannot be business as usual. It must be, as leaders ascend, an implementation blueprint with the deliverables, deadlines, and scorecards. Africa cannot afford another cycle of eloquent promises. Floods, droughts, food insecurity, health emergencies, and displacement are already costing us lives and livelihoods. Every month of delay is another year of stolen from Africa's development. The Addis Ababa Declaration must, therefore, address 3 urgent questions. 1, what exactly will we do? 2, when will we do it? And thirdly, how will we be held accountable? That's very important. So if Nairobi was the declaration of intent, Addis Ababa must be the declaration of delivery. Excellencies, the theme of this summit speaks to the urgency of this moment. Across our continent, communities are demanding climate solutions that are not only fast but fair, not only global but grounded in Africa's realities. In the past months and weeks, the Pan-Africa Climate Justice Alliance and Consortium for Climate Change Ethiopia, under the auspices of the committee which was mandated to be led by the civil society, have organized numerous events feeding into this ACS. This includes the Ministers of Finance convening, the Nairobi Summer School on Climate Justice to build the capacity of young people in partnership with Addis Ababa University, the Africa Youth Climate Assembly, which you have received the declaration, and the other structured dialogues with European Union and the COP30 presidency. Across all these platforms, Your Excellencies, and particularly the discussions of ministers of finance, the message has been consistent. Climate action is fundamentally a finance question and economic issue. Internationally, without adequate flows to the continent, and regionally without integrating climate change into fiscal policy, budget cycles, debt negotiations, and investment framework, Africa's climate agenda, and particularly adaptation finance, will remain underfunded and unfinished. 16 clusters, Your Excellency, of non-state actors have spoken with clarity. And before I take my seat, let me just distill a few of them because there are too many for the interest of time. The youth have spoken and they have articulated theirs. We had the faith actors, the women, and the women want climate justice. Climate justice will fail if their voices are sidelines. They demand direct financing, gender-responsive budgeting, and continental youth climate fund. The faith leaders also and their voice remind us that there can be no climate justice without peace, and no peace without justice. They call for debt cancellation as a pathway to climate justice. We also have health actors because health is very important. They demand that health be placed at the heart of Africa's resilient health systems, Africa, and biodiversity, securing land and resources, financing locally led solutions, and protecting ecosystems as Africa's green lifeline. We also end the labor movement, which calls for just transition plans that protect workers, create decent jobs, and embed social protection in aid. And also the private sector and financial institutions seek predictable regulations, incentives for green industries, and investments that create jobs and value chains at home. And also the civil society in their form. They want to demand climate finance, operationalization of loss and damage fund, and recognition of Africa's special needs in global climate policy. And also there were children, peace and security advocates urging protection for the most vulnerable, integration of climate into peace building, and the recognition of climate displaced populations. Excellencies, I'm now sitting down. The credibility of ACS will be judged by the eloquence, will not be judged by eloquence of our ones, but by whether we live Addis Ababa with three things, and I want to state them. An action plan with timelines and milestones that can be tracked and measured. 2, a financing strategy that mobilizes domestic resources, secures grants and not loans, balances adaptation and mitigation, and reduces the burden of debt. Number 3, an inclusive governance framework where non-state actors are not mere participants, but co-owners of Africa's destiny. As we open this second climate summit, let us ask ourselves, what will Addis Ababa deliver? And if we succeed, Addis Ababa will be remembered as the moment Africa shifted from vision to delivery, from rhetoric to results. But if we fail, we will prove the skeptics right that our summits inspire speeches but not solutions. Thank you, Your Excellencies. And as per our tradition of this summit, as the youth have done, we want to hand over. This was just a snapshot. We want to hand over to His Excellency Ahmed Abiy and the Chair of African Union, But we are not going to call them here. We will just go where they are. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your commitment and advocacy. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our opening ceremony. We thank all our esteemed speakers for setting a powerful tone for this summit. We ask all guests to remain seated as our heads of state and government and other dignitaries depart for the lunch program. I thank you.